Good morning, good people. Today is Saturday, March 14th, 2026. My name is Edward Bevilacqua, and here we are at what? We are at G.school today. Saturday. Good morning, Maticus von Atticus. It does matter. That's the point. Well, actually, you've been saying this for a long time, a couple years. I think it's been almost 3 years since we've seen Charlene, whose motto was, "It just doesn't matter." And maybe she's right. Okay, so let's get started with our shoe. It's Saturday. It is G.school. Our goal is to help our students and other interested people on their journey through this life. And today is a big historic day. What? Yep, it's a big historic day. Yesterday, an interesting thing happened on the way to the forum, as the Christians would say a couple thousand years ago, almost a couple thousand years ago. An interesting thing happened on the way to the forum. What was at the forum, Maticus von Atticus? What was at the forum? The answer is lions and tigers and bears. Oh my. Right. That was at the forum. The Roman, the Colosseum, but the name of the movie was An Interesting Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum. Lions and tigers and bears. Oh my. Man, bear, pig. Okay. So, interesting thing happened yesterday. It has begun. It is official. 2 big things happened this week. Thursday night, final night of GPPM, Graduate Program Pastoral Ministry, final class. The final class. Now I only have to turn in 1 paper and the capstone. The capstone. Which means I need to finish this. 1 class and the capstone. Right. Okay, and that's what we're going to talk about. What was the interesting thing that happened on the way to the forum? We're going to talk about that. But first, let's get into our worksheet. Our advice from an 80-year-old. Lend only those books you never care to see again. Lend only those books you never care to see again. Right. Why is that? Because if the person likes the book, they will what? Want to keep it. They will want to keep it. Okay, it's not like, okay, so that was written by an 80-year-old. Nowadays, because an 80-year-old 60 years ago, if you wanted a book, it was not easy. You could go to the library, you could go to a bookstore. If you lived in a small town, they didn't really have a bookstore. Or if they did, it wasn't that large. Right. So, but today, any book you want, practically, you can have at your house in a couple of days. If it's a popular book, tomorrow somehow. Right. And Amazon figured out how to get millions of items in these huge warehouses and somehow get them out to people super, super fast, where the cost of the book is the same as you could get anywhere, but there's a very complicated web of getting it from where it is to you, and they do it in a couple days, and you don't pay a premium for it. Really cool. So yeah, lend only those books that you don't care about getting back. All right. Okay, let's see what Seth Godin has to say. Visible measures. When an organization is known for speed and quality, like let's say Amazon, it's likely that if times get tough, quality will suffer before speed does. Okay. That's because customers notice speed right away, but it takes a while to come to a conclusion about quality. I can think of a restaurant. If a musician or politician is known for showmanship and wise insights, the showmanship will probably outlast the wisdom. Okay, think about Elvis. When we measure, no, that's the showmanship will probably outlast the wisdom. No, that's not wisdom. That's not. Well, when we measure and compare the easily visible, we may be setting ourselves up for disappointment. Okay. Yeah, okay. So it's like Bill Clinton. Yeah, Elvis. When Elvis was old and not in not good shape, he'd still go out in outrageous costumes, but he wasn't as sharp. When George Carlin would go out at the end, he wasn't as sharp, but he was George Carlin in his mannerisms, his way of speaking, his way of acting continued, but it just wasn't as biting as it was before. So last night we had the double, meaning we noticed, okay, when an organization is known for speed and quality, it's likely if time gets tough, quality will suffer before speed. Well, we had both of them suffer. It took a long time to get the food. And when the food came, it was subpar. So what they tried to do was pour a lot of stuff on top to make it seem like it had something to it. But it didn't. It was just thrown in there. It was not good. Okay, visible measures. So when we measure and compare the easily visible, we may be setting ourselves up for disappointment. I think we should flip this around and act on ourselves. Take the time, do it right. Just don't focus on what people see. Keep the foundation there. Okay, so we got advice from an 80-year-old. We had Seth Godin. We said an interesting thing happened on the way to the forum. Well, we haven't talked about that. We said it has begun. Let's talk about Jerry Maguire. Very quick closeout this week. So this week 3, outside my skull-sized kingdom, our goal is to bond with other people, to bond with them because we're stronger when we work together. That's like Aesop's fable about the 4 oxen in the field, that when they would graze together, tail to tail with their horns pointing out. The lion could not get them. But due to difficulties and disagreements, they separated and went to different parts of the field, and the lion picked them off one by one. Right. Not good. So we need, we're social animals. We need to be with other people. We need to bond. So this week was focused on how do we bond. Once again, very quickly, recap, David Logan, USC professor, Monday says, join a tribe, people like you, and nudge it forward. So that means don't just join and sit out on the sidelines. Oh yeah, I'm part of that group. Yeah. Join a tribe, nudge it forward. How can I help? What can I do? So now you're integrating into that group. Okay, how do you nudge it forward? Well, Seth Godin then comes in on Tuesday to say, well, there's a 4-step process. Find part of the status quo to change. How do you do that? Well, you ask and observe. What sucks around you? What can we do better? 2, tell a compelling story. 3, connect the true believers. That's the TED Talk for today, Jerry Maguire. Connect the true believers. 4, lead them. And under connect the true believers, ignore the non-true believers, which Jerry Maguire did do right. Wednesday, we got to, well, how do you tell a compelling story? How do you do that? And you do it because the story talks about why we need to change the status quo. Why we need to change the status quo. Not how we're going to change it, not what we're going to change. That comes later, once you've connected with the true believers. Once they say, I am with you, now what? What do we have to do? What do we do now? Okay. Connected, and then yesterday was the story before the story to get people to bond. And that's where Jerry Maguire lost them. He didn't lose them on the compelling story. He didn't lose them on the ask. He didn't lose them on the lead them part. He lost them because he did not bond. He didn't have the good story before the story. And when you watch it, you'll see in the link below on our worksheet, you have a link to the Jerry Maguire video. When you watch it, you will see that he goes out and he starts out by saying, I'm not going to do what you think I'm going to do, which is to flip out. And then he acts like he flips out and he doesn't get people to laugh because he's tense. He's not jovial, happy, confident, like I'm getting freedom. I'm now free. He doesn't display that attitude. He displays the attitude of someone who was defeated. And that's his opening line. I'm not going to do what you think I'm going to do, which is flip out. And then he flips out. And then he encourages it by talking, he goes on, spiraling down by talking about manners and how to treat people, meaning he was treated poorly. This isn't compelling. Treated poorly, and there's a way of treating people, and that's with manners. And then he goes over to the fish tank and he takes out a fish and says, the fish are coming with me. And he scoops out a goldfish and he said, these fish have manners. And then, so he goes from a non-compelling story, a story to people off, and then he says, who's coming with me? Well, he gives his speech about what he's doing and how it will be great and we'll build something together. But what he did is he drove people away. Now when he's telling his compelling speech, you can tell some people are listening. Some of the people are leaning in, one in particular. Some people are kind of leaning in. Some are, yeah, he's right about that, but they're probably saying, yeah, but he's unstable. This is going through their mind. He's unstable. And when you watch that scene and you count the number of camera shots, tremendous number of shots. It probably took all day to do that one scene. Amazing amount of work that was involved in there. And it seems like they had people moving around because in many scenes, the same people are, key people are in them in the background. But if you try to map out the room, it's like, well, how could he be there? How could the fish tank be over there now? Because it seemed like it was over there. You don't catch it in the moment. You only catch it if you're looking for it. So very well crafted scene. But Jerry Maguire does the process. He's in a tribe. This tribe. He's leaving the tribe now. He's trying to get people to come with him. He tells a compelling story, but it's too late because he took the story before the story to get people motivated to, yeah, let's go change the world. That wasn't his pre-story. The pre-story was everything is collapsing. I'm being driven out in shame. And you don't treat people this way. That was the story before the story. So when he tells the compelling story, it doesn't resonate with people. He hasn't bonded. He's pushed them away. The gap is too far. And even though he's bringing it in, he doesn't get there with anybody except one person. And the reason he got that one person is because a couple weeks earlier, when he passed out his memo, his vision statement, when he passed that out, it really got her here. So she was already on board. She just needed a trigger. And then, out of feeling sorry for him, because nobody else was going, that triggered her instincts to go. So she loved the story. She believed in the guy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. His story, his compelling story was compelling, but it was after the bad pre-thing, the David Phillips. He failed on the David Phillips thing, the story before the story. That's when he could have, in hindsight, he would have gone out as a loser, only getting one client, the mad scramble, go out, talk like a hero, talk like Caesar, talk about the beating the Germans, barbarians, and rallied the troops and maybe gotten a couple. But it all worked out. Okay, so an interesting thing happened on the way to the forum. This got started yesterday by a sizable investment, more than enough if we do it almost exactly perfectly correct to get this project going. What did Jesus actually say? Start with an investment, a real investment, a serious investment for an undertaking like this to make things happen. So it is now started. So that means other things paired off, just like the GPPM will be over tomorrow. This is purpose number one, getting this out, getting this distributed. And it's not about selling books. It's about getting people a compelling story. It's about bonding, right? Telling the compelling story. So who knows? Maybe during the week, we'll be talking more about this, not just on Saturday and Sunday, but we'll certainly talk about this tomorrow. What does it mean? So what is this? How many pages? Okay. Unknown. Anyway, so that's it for today. Let's go out and make something happen. Think about telling compelling stories. And with that, we're going to say, and cut.